In this video, I'm going to show you some information around the error handling that we have available within BMC Atrium Integrator program. First off, I'm going to show you why it's a wise decision to create the initial framework for your transformation using the wizard within the AI console, at least until you become more proficient at creating these jobs and understand how to debug them. The example that I have open on my screen is showing you a transformation that was created using the wizard. You can see that by doing this, I automatically have this error logging step appended to my CMDB output step. This step is automatically configured to accept anything that is deemed an error from this CMDB output step, or whatever step that it is at the end here. So you notice the red X on the hop, different from all of these other hops. Okay, so this handles all of the error traffic. So anything that is thrown as an error from this step that the system deems as an error will get thrown over to this step, and then this step will be able to handle that. So it doesn't just stop. We're able to process through the errors and then deal with the errors later on. So if I right-click on this step here and edit this step, you'll see that this step is nothing more than just a text file output. There's nothing fancy with this step. You can use this in any of your transformations. It doesn't have to just only be used during error processing. You'll see all of these the variables up here to set this path in which we write this file here, right to the text file. This one thing to note up here, this kettle home value, that is where the product is installed at. You can see that if I didn't have this text box open and it had this edit window or menu up here available to me, I could pull this down and say, show me this environment variables, and then the kettle home would be in there. I can see this whole path without all the variables if I click this show file names, and you'll see the whole path right in here. So that kettle home actually points to this all the way up to this DI server here. So it's all the value in front of that. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. The one thing I wanted to bring up here too is the fields. So you can see for every error that is written, these fields, this is the columns that will be written for each one. So you have all of these values per every error that is thrown to this step. Cancel this. And so now I'm going to come back over here to the CMDB output step. And this is where the system, where you turn on your error handling. So I'm going to right click on this step, and as opposed to editing the step, I'm going to come all the way down to the bottom here and say define error handling. This brings up this a box that shows up the settings for the error handling, for how to define the error handling. Here you can see that we have a target step identified, right? So the error logging, and this matches where we're going to over here, and that the error handling is enabled. So if you were setting this up by yourself, you would create this step over here. You would not link the two yet. And then when you come in here to turn on your error handling, you would then have a target in which to send the error traffic to. Okay? And then the next four fields, or the next four lines here, are nothing more than setting the value of the field that you want to send this to. So the number of errors field name, you just give it a name, right? So this is automatic for you if you use the wizard. So another reason why to use the wizard. And then also coming down here, the system is set up currently to accept all errors. So these values down here let you control when you might want to stop. If you're debugging a transformation coming in with a lot of data, you might want to stop at a certain point so that you don't have to keep processing all of the data and until you get to a point where you're comfortable, and then you can just let the system run and you can deal with the errors later. But for right now, this is set up to let all of the data come through. Okay, so like max number of errors allowed, -1 means keep going. If you set it to 5, after 5 errors, it would stop. So that's the meaning of those. So it's not very complicated, but just something you have to remember to do every time you set up one of these transformations. And if you have a complex transformation, you're gonna want to do this to all of the times, or for all of the steps in which you make a CMDB write or an AR system write. The one thing I want to note here, let me cancel out of this, is not every field or every step will have the option to have errors thrown from it. So this Java step here, I can define it, But if I come over here to my calculator step, I don't have that option. So there's one thing that you can just to be aware of, is not every step has the ability to have errors captured from it. So I guess from this video now you can see why it might be a wise decision to start off your first couple of transformations using the wizard, and then come back into Pento here to the Spoon client and modify and embellish your jobs.